How about we play one of those press conferences that we've found online? I'll put it up here now.
It's a great storyline, isn't it? Straight away in week 2 to have Ben Johnson going up against the Lions. Yeah.
They said to Burrow, "Oh, how does it feel like to get hit or like sacked so much in your first game?" And he just looked in the camera and he just said, "I'm used to it."
Hello and welcome back to Ahead of the Game Sports Chat, brought to you by bets.com.au. We have Tuck Sports Takes, Sports Pez Jez right on the other side, and in the middle, our NFL expert or degenerate, however you want to look at it, Josh Darke. Boys, welcome to the show. Another week of NFL in the books, Josh.
That's a backhanded compliment, a backhanded intro.
That's what I'm good at.
Superstar analyst degenerate. I don't know how to take that one, but fair enough. I guess you're on the money.
I'm glad that Josh is copping the flack. I usually get it on every other show, so I'm glad I'm just watching from the outside in this time.
I cop enough of that on my own show by the fans.
That's it. Josh, how about you let us know where we can find some of your good content online?
All right, voice of the fans.com.au, voice of the fans, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So I do mostly NRL. We're going to get into the NFL now. The NFL's kicking off, but I get down to the games and I harass the fans and I try and talk to a few players and just get everyone's thoughts and shit stir everyone and make good crappy D-grade social media content that's funny to watch.
Love it. It's awesome. All right, boys, this week we're going to just quickly have a look back at week 1 and the storylines and surprises that have come out of that before we get on to week 2 and look ahead to a couple of games that are pretty exciting in this week 2 slate. Try and give a bit of a different view from all the shit you see on YouTube and on Spotify and all that stuff. 3 Aussies, love NFL, different viewpoints, different types of ways that we enjoy the game. So hopefully we can bring that kind of passion to the screen. Boys, let's get into some surprises from week 1. And I want to focus first and foremost on the AFC North and Pittsburgh, Josh. You said that they could be something this year, and they've started to prove a little bit.
Yeah, well, I called it. So when I thought it was a good fit. So Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay, he was a legend, right? You know, won 3 titles, I think, back to Title Town. The Green Bay's been in a rebuild since him. They're doing well now, but we'll get into that later. But then he went to the Jets and he didn't have much to play for. You know, he was following Brett Favre's footsteps. He gets a chip on his shoulder, so he's left Green Bay and he wanted to prove himself. But you know, they weren't the greatest team, and whenever he got sacked, he was whinging. But I think it's a good fit here in Steeltown. So he's on the back of a solid defense. He's got a coach that he looks up to, or that at least has credibility. Mike Tomlin, he's got a winning record. So I think with someone above him that he doesn't think he's the almighty of the team, a solid defense. 10 wins last year. I think now he thinks, okay, he could be the missing piece to at least a playoff team and maybe even a little bit further. So the old head, the old rookie, veteran quarterback there to protect the ball on the back of a solid defense. I knew they'd go well. 4 touchdowns.
Jez, what are your thoughts around the Steelers and A-Rod?
Yeah, well, I was anti the Steelers. I thought there's no way they're hitting 50% with Aaron Rodgers. Holding Tomlin's record, but fuck, he looked good. Like, I got to bite my words or eat my words here, because it was even just watching those first few plays where you see him with the old black helmet on and the old Steelers logo. I wanted to see the 1-bar helmet around instead, just feels like that would fit the old, like you said, veteran head there, running around in a Steelers uniform. But he put on a show. Like, it was pretty impressed, and his combination with Metcalf was incredible. Like, obviously both guys new to that team, traded there, and they found combinations. I was listening to a couple of press conferences after, and it feels those two guys roomed together during training camp, and Rodgers seemed to just have a lot of faith in Metcalf and said, look, you tell me your read. I'm going to come to you the day before the game, and you're going to tell me what you think about the game and where you think you can be your strongest. And obviously it worked. Metcalf had 7 targets, 4 receptions for 83 yards. So that was impressive. They just sort of spread the ball around well. You look at all the different receivers. He was everywhere. He did everything right, Rodgers. So the scary thing is, the defense didn't really hold up. They still had to rely on a 60-yard field goal at the end to win the game. So I don't know. There was some confident press conferences out there where Rodgers was talking trash, and they won by a field goal at the death.
How about we play one of those press conferences that we've found online? I'll put it up here now.
Just want all my haters to know that prime Aaron Mother-loving Rodgers is back like I never left. I just pounded the shit out of my former team. I told everyone I wasn't washed. Any player would look washed on that awful Jets team. Justin Fields just shat himself on that final play. Scared little chicken, afraid to run the ball. And sorry, but I just can't stop talking about myself. This old man just put on an absolute fucking show out there on that field. My legs don't even work, and I still destroyed those clowns.
Wow. The confidence.
You can't argue with him. I think he hit everything. He hit the nail on the head there.
Aaron,
I'm not sure that's the real press conference, but I think I think in the mirror when he got home, it would have went something like that. I think exactly. The only concern though is the leaked defensive points. But if you look at all the big defenses in the league, they all got pounded. There wasn't like a big top 5 defense that just went bang 3 points or 7 points. Like they all leaked, and it's round 1, and they're all getting to know themselves. The only thing I worry about Rodgers is he was sacked 4 times. So 4 times 16, if he plays that many games, he's going to be in hospital. So if they can sort out those sacks and keep that old veteran there, the Steelers might just have the old sneaky defense trump wins and do some damage towards the playoffs.
We'll see. It's going to be good to watch him go up against Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers. See how well he escapes from that.
Boys, an interesting number on this Pittsburgh Steelers team. Last year, they allowed 2 opposition scores of 30 plus. The 2 years prior, and I'm just actually now looking back to the 2021 season. So 2022, 2023, 0 games of 30 plus from their opponents. So are we seeing a bit of regression now from this Steelers defense that have been a bit of a benchmark in defensive strategy and holding opponents to low totals for a number of years, as we see here, that they didn't allow a score over 30 points. Last year, twice, and this year already started the first game of the season, a 30-plus scoreline, Josh.
Yeah, possibly, but I mean, like I said, a lot of the big defenses got pumped. I mean, you look at the Ravens and Bills, you'd argue that they'd both be in the championship game, and they conceded 40. The Vikings have a top 5 defense; they conceded 24. Who else have we got? Like the Eagles only conceded 20 to the Cowboys, which is probably the best of the big teams. So I think they all got a bit of a working. But it is round 1. You know, you've got to get that chemistry with the new players, like Sports Pez Jez said last week. You know, it's round 1. There's new chemistry. The NFL has a lot of toing and froing with players. So I think once the sort of by about round 5, when they've got a few games under their belt, if you think you're a big defense and you're losing those sorts of leaking those sorts of points, then there could be an issue. But I think if you got a quarterback who knows how to protect the ball, and the defense comes good, that's the recipe to win.
And Jez, the Bills and the Ravens went right down to the wire. I did the preview of this game on bets.com.au, and we're going to be covering a few games each week, the blockbuster matchups that we like. We'll cover them with full game previews and videos on bets.com.au. I did this one, and my prediction was that the Ravens were going to go to Derrick Henry a lot more. The divisional round game last season, Henry had 16 runs only for 84 yards. And there was a lot of talk post-game that they should have used him more. You come fast forward to this game, and 18 runs, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, a longest rush of 49 yards, but they still couldn't win.
Yeah, but it just turned into a Josh Allen show. I know this Josh has a great rant because it's how I smoked him in NFL fantasy this week, having Josh Allen. So, but yeah, that's what it turned into. I think like these two games like this between two of the best teams, probably two of the Super Bowl favorites, whoever comes out of the AFC has sort of been picked to be the Super Bowl favorite, I think, this year. Games turn out like this, you can get some of these explosive scores. It always feels like it's one or the other. They either lock down, defense plays well, or it just explodes. And it was pretty much Josh Allen just taking control of the game late and making the calls that he needed to make, which were a lot to himself. And that turned the game. So like they were in a spot there for a while, and it really felt like Baltimore dominated. Baltimore were the team that everybody expected them to be, but they just shit the bed in another situation that was a playoff-like feel, which makes you straight up think, go back to Lamar and even to the coaching stuff. I think you got to go to Harbaugh because he also just makes some shit calls as well that put his team in jeopardy, trying to protect the win. And then you're getting fumbles from Henry and everything just fell apart again, which happens to the Ravens in these big games. And now it's happened in week one instead of in the playoffs.
And Josh, there are a couple of you could almost say not flip of the coin, but the ball just bounced the wrong way. Jez alluded to the drop ball from Derrick Henry. There are quite a few plays there that are just like, you can never, of 1,000 different iterations, that only happens once. But like 3 or 4 of them happened in this game to give the Bills a chance to win, and they took it. There's a missed, it was an extra point or a missed field goal from the Ravens. There's so many things. Do you see this game as an entirely kind of negative loss for the Ravens, or do you still feel like, okay, well, without those things, they would have won and probably won comfortably, and they're still the top team in the league?
I'll tell you where the ball bounced. The ball bounced into Josh Allen's hands. That's where it bounced. Man, I watched almost every snap of this game, and the Ravens they were the better team for the best part of the game. They were up a touchdown, then 2 touchdowns, and 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns. But Josh Allen's execution, he's a selfish player. Don't get me wrong. His execution is world class. They couldn't put him away. Like Derrick Henry would bust one, he'd score a touchdown. They'd be on 3rd down, and Lamar would throw something, and they'd get another touchdown. Zay Flowers, I think he got 2. But they just couldn't put him away. And when you thought the game was put away, Josh Allen gets the ball. He goes 2 play. He calls 2 plays for himself. He'll change to the line. He'll put it in his own hands. He'll try and run it twice himself close to the line. If he doesn't, he'll pass it in. They couldn't put him away. And then it's like the Mighty Ducks movie where they were winning 9-0, and then in the 3rd period, there's nothing they could do to stop them. It was like this momentum thing in the last 3 minutes where the Harbaugh was trying to protect the game, and the Ravens just couldn't even get a first down. And then Josh Allen will get the ball and go touchdown. You're like, oh, geez, they're not far away. And then Derrick Henry with the ball, and he fumbled, and then they got the ball, and they go down for another score. And then all they needed was a first down to ice the game, and they couldn't do that, and they gave it back to Josh Allen, and he just won the game. He just completely control the game. But back onto your point, it is a massive game because it's going to come down to home field advantage to one of these two. Ravens have a harder schedule. I believe they're the better team. I mean, I believe if you play this game again, they find a way to put them away. They were the better team. Josh Allen, just if he's got a sniff, you got to kill him. You got to get 4 touchdowns up to beat him. But in the big scheme of things, it is a big game because they're competitors in the AFC, and it's going to come down to a loss or a tiebreaker or something. And the Bills, it's advantage Bills.
Yeah. Boys, the NFC North, we had a game played yesterday, or was it today? Monday Night Football.
This morning.
This morning. If you're watching this on a Tuesday, obviously. The Chicago Bears played okay. They were in a lot of people's minds and mouths in this preseason. We're going to be a competitive team and could be pushing to possibly win this division and make a playoff run. The Minnesota Vikings, JJ McCarthy, they, as we spoke about on this episode last week, they shipped off Darnold. Am I getting the names right?
Yeah.
Had a fantastic season for the Vikings. They won a heap of games, shipped him off, JJ McCarthy in. They ended up winning the game. But Josh, you are not so impressed with McCarthy's start.
No, I was not impressed with either of these teams. I was on NFC North Island. I was like, right, all four of these teams can make the playoffs. At least three of them are making the playoffs. Two are definitely wild card teams. It's going to come down to tiebreakers, and they're all going to be awesome. They weren't. The Packers are going to win this division. There is the Lions were outplayed. They'll get better. They'll get better when they find their feet. They'll get better. Their O-line looked shaky. Parsons ran the whole defense ran an absolute muck in the Lions. But this Vikings Bears game, I was really disappointed with both. Caleb Williams looked like it was his first game along with McCarthy's first game. If you watch Texas and Archie Manning, there were 7-yard throws that were just going to the ground. Like, they both looked like rookies. The game was a bludger in the first half. They are both going to get beat by teams that have had first round losses throughout the NFL. They were not good at all. Ben Johnson, it looked like he just got there this week. They'll get better as well. Ben Johnson is a fantastic coach, but they looked like round one of preseason, and so did the Vikings. I mean, McCarthy's offense only played 12 snaps in the preseason. I can see why, because O'Connell knows he's not ready. He knows he's not ready. They went 3 and out the first 3 drives, and McCarthy had 1 pass because he knew he wasn't ready. He needed to not just ease him into a series or ease him into the quarter. He had to ease him into the fourth quarter and get him going because they're very raw. So, yeah, both teams look weak to me.
And Jez, the Detroit Lions, they, coming into this season with obviously that momentum that they created from the last 2 years, but losing assistant coaches and offensive and defensive coordinators. I've just got the stats up on my screen here. They converted 3 of 4 fourth downs, only 5 of 15 third downs, only had 1 turnover, but 4 sacks they allowed. Jared Goff, 39 attempts, completed 31, 225 yards, 1 TD, 1 intercept, the 4 sacks once again. Are the Lions in big trouble, or is it like Josh says, they just need to find their feet and figure stuff out?
I think they're in a little bit of trouble. Like, that offensive line was bad, but I'm not sure you can rate it. I think it feels really bad at the moment. It feels like they're in trouble, but I'm not ready to make a call on that. They come up against the Packers. Packers, if you look at their games last year against the Lions, they restricted the Lions' running game, like, completely. They stopped it. That's what the Packers were good at. And they did exactly the same thing now, but they've brought in the right pieces of the puzzle to also shut down the passing game, because Jared Goff didn't have any time. If you look at a lot of the plays in that game, everything was short. The Lions actually had the ball for 10 minutes more in offense than what the Packers actually had, but they just went nowhere because everything was short. You look, Sam Laporta was the top receiver because they're just using these short plays. You see the 2 running backs, lots of receptions. Everything was short, but they were just moving in small increments and couldn't do anything because there was no time. Micah Parsons was there, and then you've got your other pass rushers getting free playing one-on-ones because Parsons is getting double teamed. So that was the problem. You can say, okay, they are in trouble, but I think they were up against probably what can arguably be the best defense in the NFL this year. So how do you judge it? Yeah, they need some time to work on their offensive line. The offensive line needs to know, okay, how are we going to open things up for our run game when we're getting stopped, or how do we take advantage of that to give Jared Goff a little bit more time? That needs to be done. But putting it and comparing it straight up against the Packers defense, which is going to be absolutely brutal, is pretty tough in week 1 when you've got a new offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. So, yeah, I'm not ready to sell my chips on the Lions just yet. But when we're talking about Minnesota and Chicago, I'm not ready to say that Minnesota aren't all they're cracked up to be either, and JJ McCarthy. Like, the ball had to go in his hands in the fourth quarter, and he made shit happen. Like, you look at what he did, he was very protected in the first 3 quarters. And he comes out in the fourth quarter, goes 6 from 8 at 75%, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. Like, he blew up the stats when they had to do something. They were down, and he performed. Like, I think this could almost be a little bit how their season's going to go. They might be slow starters, but I think they'll come good, and that offense will actually come good in the end. So I'm not ready to throw him under the bus either yet.
And if you are following the game previews that we throw out, Jez had a good pick in the Detroit game about Jameer Gibbs getting his receptions, and this one here. So he had 10 targets, 10 receptions, more than his running attempts. And we've lost Josh there in the middle, and we'll be back in a second. He had more receptions and more targets than his rushing attempts, Jez. And this could be a bit of a trend we might see with Jameer Gibbs against teams that look to shut down the run. He's an opportunity to receive the ball. And it's just become more and more as the games have gone past, kind of from the midway point of last season.
Yeah, definitely. And especially, I think last year, Montgomery was out for a while there. So Montgomery does the pounding. I think you're going to see Gibbs look for those explosive plays and come out of the backfield on play action and actually receive the pass instead of receiving the ball behind the line. So, yeah, I think they're going to use him in a different way when you have Montgomery in full fitness.
There we go.
Hey, boys.
Hello, mate. Welcome back.
I had to put in all the passwords and shit.
Yeah, have to figure that
You
out
need a
for the future.
webcam.
All right. Let's go into week 2. Okay, with Josh back online, we're going to get into our week 2 preview. We have spoken about the Green Bay Packers and now coming up against the Commies, who took almost lost it. They win the last weekend. Who'd they play?
Yeah, they played the Giants. The Chump Giants.
That's
right.
right.
Everybody was backing the Chump Giants to cover against the Commanders, and you know what? They almost did. Like, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed with the Commanders at all. It took them a long time to put the Giants away, actually. So, yeah, I don't know how you look at it. Were the Giants good or were the Commanders shit?
Oh, I don't know. Jaden Daniels, 19 of 30, a passer rating of 98.3, had some run in his legs, ran a longest rush of 14 yards. I think this is what the Commanders are. I took them as a team that could go under their win total this season just because of that regression, that teams are going to catch up to them, figure out who they are, put the clamps down on Jaden Daniels a little bit, and without, a real kind of influx of new players or new talent into this team, then they're pretty much the same, and teams figure that out. Josh, did you see anything different from the Commies that maybe puts them up against Green Bay with a chance to win, or is this just another Green Bay game that's going to put in their back pocket?
No, I think Green Bay look like an absolute Ferrari. Now, I've being here in Australia, I missed watching the games from the early time slot, but I watched pretty much all the rest of them. So I can't comment on. I looked at the stats. I know what's happened in the other games, but I didn't really watch them in the flesh. But I watched the rest, and Green Bay are on a completely different level, offense and defense. Micah Parsons only played 43% of the snaps. He played less than half the time out there, which is incredible. Seems they just annihilated the Lions. They looked on another level. The score's actually flattering to the Lions, to tell you the truth. And the Commanders, yeah, you're right, Poss. Like, the Commanders and the Giants. Are the Commanders okay, or are the Giants horrible? Well, the Giants are horrible, and the Commanders were just okay. So I think once they come up against Green Bay, I'm glad. I'm an NFC East guy. I can't wait to see Jaden Daniels get put in his place. Green Bay is going to smash them. It's going to be bittersweet because Parsons is going to do a bit of damage, but you got to remember that someone like Jaden Daniels, when the pocket collapses, that's when he's at his best. So you talk about Micah Parsons destroying Jared Goff. He's a pocket passer. As soon as someone gets in the backfield, Goff's in trouble. If there's not a check down, he can't get rid of it, and he's getting sacked. But when that pocket breaks down, that's when Jaden Daniels is going to run for 30. So it's not just going to be about getting Parsons to him. Like they've got to stop, they've got to shut him down. But from what I saw, they were flying all over the field. The offense looks slick. They look like a real Super Bowl contender, and I think you'll see a big difference in the two teams.
Yeah, Jez, you got any thoughts there, mate?
Yeah, I think it's going to be if the Green Bay Packers pump the Commanders now, like with Josh said, with a quarterback that is good on his feet, if they shut down Jaden Daniels, they have to go to be the clear early favorite for the Super Bowl if they weren't already, because that defense is just going to go, okay, we can shut down pocket passes. We can shut down this new age, new generation quarterback that can do it all. They're going to certainly make a statement. But if you look at sort of Washington, they had their rookie running back, Krosky Merritt, run for 82 yards against the Giants. You're not going to see that against the Green Bay Packers. So that run game straight away is going to be completely shut down. They got to rely on Deebo Samuel to make another 7 receptions for 77 yards. Now they've got some tape on Daniels and Deebo Samuel. Going to be easier for the Packers to stop them. I'm not sure what the line is here, but I'll probably be taking the Packers to cover against the Commanders in this one.
The Lions and the Bears, another divisional matchup, and two teams that lost the first round, week one. And we've spoken so much about this division and the implications of these divisional matchups. Jez, do you think the Lions, they've won 5 of the last 6 against Chicago and have had that domination, but now you're going to get the old coordinator up against, or in his new team against his old team, and these kind of things are all going to play into each other here. Do you feel this game could be quite tight, or do you feel that the Lions maybe try and stretch their legs a little bit here?
Yeah, it's a great storyline, isn't it? Straight away in week 2 to have Ben Johnson going up against the Lions. Yeah, these ones I think are really, really tough to pick, and because both teams pretty much know each other. I think Ben Johnson knows everything about the Lions, and the Lions know everything about Ben Johnson. But you probably put it more when it comes to the unknown of the Lions being more unknown to Chicago, because they've got their 2 new coordinators. They've got a new style of play. But, yeah, you would think that the Chicago Bears are going to be able to shut down Jared Goff and that offense pretty well. So I'd be expecting sort of an underplay on this one. Shouldn't be too many points scored, and you'll see both defenses thrive against the offense.
Josh, Caleb Williams, is he a type of player that would match up well against this Detroit defense, or will he run into a bit of trouble, you think?
Yeah, I think he's in big trouble. I was really not impressed with the Bears at all. I was expecting, and of course it's a media beat up, and I bought into it as well, Ben Johnson going to the Bears. The Bears only won 5 games last year. But everyone's like, they're going to win 10 games this year. Ben Johnson. It looked like he just got there. So you talk about like what SportsBez Jez just said there, like, yeah, the teams know each other so well. He knows the opposition, and they know Ben Johnson, but Ben Johnson doesn't know his players. It looked really clunky. Caleb Williams, they had a lot of penalties, pre-snap penalties. They couldn't get the plays off. It was messy. And though the Lions got beat up by the Packers, they're still on a much higher level than the Bears. I can see now the new narrative next week is that the Lions are still, they're going to have a hangover from not having Ben Johnson. But it's still going to take a while for that to filter out. I think they looked bad because they were playing the Packers, but when they come up against Caleb Williams, it's going to be trouble for Caleb Williams. They still need a year. They need at least half a year. They'll get better, but it's by the look of today's game, it's going to take a few months for them to iron that stuff out and get the best out of each other.
I think you're going to see Caleb Williams still get rushed a lot. I think Aiden Hutchinson got completely shut down. He was double teamed the whole game against the Packers, where the offensive line of the Bears isn't at that same quality of the Packers. So he's going to get through a lot more. There's going to be a lot more pressures. And we know with Caleb Williams that when he's under pressure, he doesn't perform. He was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the league last year, and his season was shit. So I think he's going to be under the pump the whole game, and that's where the Lions will likely get up here.
Boys, the Super Bowl rematch already in week 2. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles will match up. Another massive storyline, and especially with Kansas City losing their first game. And if you look, Philadelphia have won the last 2, which includes the Super Bowl and then their matchup in 2023. This game could put Kansas City at 0-2 to start a season for the first time in the Mahomes era. And I don't know if I'm seeing anything from this Kansas City team that makes me think differently to what I did in the preseason, which is that maybe the magic's gone. Maybe the other teams have caught up around them, and maybe their defense isn't good enough to hold teams anymore. Josh?
Yeah, I think watching the Eagles and Dallas game, they were just so safe. There wasn't the explosive offense that you normally see from the Eagles, but they didn't need to be. They moved the chains, and throw the playbook out in this. It's a Super Bowl replay. Kansas City played over in Brazil. You know, you got different transfers, different hotels, different people you're talking to, different food, different prep, different noises, different everything. So it wouldn't have surprised me if Kansas City flogged the Chargers in that one because the Chargers were off, or vice versa. It was a tight one. Kansas City lost, but coming back home, they're back at Arrowhead. It's the Super Bowl replay. It wouldn't surprise me if either team wins this, but if I had to have a punt, I would still say that the Eagles still look like they've got the edge over Kansas City. They didn't have any problems. They're coming off a win. They're not going to be under too much pressure because they've already got the win over Dallas in the division. So, yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what to expect. Either team could dominate or it could be a close one. I expect a close one, but I don't know. Can the Eagles go down to if the Eagles go to Kansas City and win, then it's just looking like Packers Eagles in the NFC.
Jez?
I don't see how the Chiefs compete in this game. They lose Worthy. They've got no Rashid Rice. They've got Kelsey. Like, that's it. I don't know where their offense really comes from here. They're in trouble. Like, the Eagles' defense is top class. The Eagles have got Saquon. They've got AJ Brown. They've got Devon Smith. Like, they've got so many weapons. It could be almost more of a whitewash in this one than what the Super Bowl was, because I don't know where KC is going to be able to score points. Like, they're in massive trouble on offense. It's got to be the Mahomes show, but he can't do everything. You shut down Kelsey, and I think they're home.
Well, boys, it's definitely going to be an interesting week 2 of the NFL. Now, I'm going to spring one on you boys here, a bit of a what do you call it? Spontaneous little segment. I'm going to call it Free Opinion Corner. And part of the reason we want Josh Darke on this show is because the bloke's got a lot of opinions. So, Josh, you get a couple of minutes here, 1 or 2 minutes, just anything to do with the NFL, something that's weighing on your mind, something you think people need to hear. Tell us what it is.
I'm pretty sure I say that every time I open my mouth on here. You give me stink eye any time I'm talking because I'm going too long. So I don't know if I left anything in the tank, but let me go through my Oh, hang on. You know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about Baker. We didn't talk about Baker. Now we need to talk about Baker. We need to talk about those Bucs because the Bucs played the Falcons. It's their closest rival in their division. It was like, oh, can the Bucs do it again? It was like 5 straight or whatever it is, and they beat Michael Penix. Baker was awesome. It was a controversial game. Went down to the wire. Ibuka, the rookie, he was bloody awesome. He only had four grabs, but he had 2 touchdowns. He was reliable. Hands were good. Baker looked like a sneaky little MVP bet on Baker, and Baker's rolling. They got an easy sketch. They're in a crap division. And Baker looks the goods once again. So I don't think we can go a podcast without talking about Baker. We should make sure we talk about Baker every single week we're on the potty.
It's fantastic. 3 touchdowns on 17 completions. The bloke is a magician.
I think the impressive part about that performance, like I think he had a pretty sort of up and down game until when Baker's money, when the game's on the line and you need a drive, you need a 2-minute drill. Is there anyone better in the competition at the moment than Baker? Because you put the ball in his hands, he'll rush for 15 yards, he'll put his head down and take a hit to get another couple of yards, he'll throw absolute rockets, and he'll find his guy in the end zone. Like he's got to be the best pressure quarterback in the NFL at the moment. Like lead them with no time left, a minute left, he throws to his rookie a 25-meter bullet into the end zone. Like, yeah, off the chain. Baker forever. We need to buy some Baker merch, Ryan, when we're in the US.
Yeah. And this leads a little bit into my free opinion corner, and it's the matchup between the Bengals and the Browns. Cleveland let Baker go. They shipped him off, and they've been in the fucking toilet since. Well, they were in the toilet before. They're still there. But we saw the Bengals finally get a week 1 win with Joe Burrow. It was a very, very
awful
fine margin.
Hey, that was my tip of the week, and everyone called me crazy. And the Bengals like $1.20, and the Browns were like $5, and there was a stupid line. But I told you they match up well. Sorry to steal your segment, but it's my segment that you're having a turn. But they match up well. Now the Browns are not going to come close. They're going to be 0-12 now. I thought they might be 1-12, but they match up well. Good pass rush. The Bengals O-line is trash. Flacco, 2 interceptions. Flacco's going to be under pressure. Dylan Gabriel will be in soon, and then we'll see should also. Thanks for the segue into that, but I almost got there. By 1 point.
You were close, and that Bengals O-line allowed 3 sacks on Joe Burrow, 2 to Myles Garrett. 1 was, I think, a combined sack. But I think this is a springboard for them. And I think Joe Burrow, he's still a top 3 quarterback in this league. And I think he can channel his team to some more victories this season, as long as the defense just doesn't capitulate.
Jez, are you staying on the Bengals after that awful performance?
Well,
You're still riding him.
It was the Bengals defense that actually got him out of hot for the first time. It wasn't Burrow that won the game. It was the Bengals defense that come up. So maybe they've turned a corner. So who knows? Yeah. They still won't make it.
You got to Google the hit. Josh, I think you sent it to me. I'll send it to you later. Yeah. One of the sacks of Myles Garrett, like he puts Burrow into outer space.
Back to last week.
Crazy that he even gets up after that.
They said to Burrow, "Oh, how does it feel like to get hit or like sacked so much in your first game?" And he just looked into the camera and he just said, "I'm used to it."
Love it. Jez, you got 1 minute, free opinion, then we're wrapping up.
No, I got nothing left. Left. Let's close it up.
All right, time to fuck off. Thanks for hanging around today, boys. A good week to preview, looking back at week 1. Let us know in the comments if you think we should be picking up anything else in the show around the NFL, but we love chatting about sports. And Jez, I'll hand the reins to you, my boy.
Yeah, hang with us and stay ahead of the game.